Good afternoon, coming to you from the Skyline Studios, high above beautiful Cape Coral here in sunny Southwest Florida. We've got music, we've got sunshine, and we've got great conversation coming up with our guest, Lisa Ann George. I'm Ken Ullman, and this is the Endless Summer Podcast. So here at the Endless Summer Podcast, we talk about music, the bar scene, other local happenings in the Cape Coral, Fort Myers area. But mostly, we want to tell the stories of the singers and the songwriters that make Southwest Florida a great place to hear live music and some very talented people. So before we get into our conversation with Lisa Ann George, a big shout out to our sponsor, Rum Runners. Located right here in Cape Harbor at the southern tip of Cape Coral, they've got great waterfront views, live music 7 days a week, they got great drinks, a friendly staff, and best of all, awesome food. So they're open every day from 12 noon, and I promise if you stop in, you will not be disappointed. All right, so living in Southwest Florida is really like living in an endless summer. And with that comes great live music, which brings me to our guest today, Lisa Ann George. Lisa,
Hi.
Welcome.
Happy to have you.
Be here. Happy to have you here today. I'm very excited to talk to you. I've got a couple questions certainly we can talk through, but I have one question I always start out with. Are you a native Floridian?
No, I'm not a native Floridian. I haven't even been here long enough to even consider myself native, I think.
Yeah. So we're batting 1,000 on the podcast. We have yet to meet a native Floridian. So tell me what got you started in music? How'd you get started?
I got started. I always sang since I can remember. Talking. I was singing, and school really started it off. I got a lot of solo work.
Oh, okay.
And they always put me in the plays and then the musicals and then the...
High school?
When I was 9, I got my debut.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you started real young. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I sang. I played Hans Christian Andersen, and they dressed me up like a little boy, and and I sang. I'm Hans Christian Andersen. So anyway, and I heard all the audience go crazy, and that really gave me my passion, or said I need to do this, even as a little girl.
And did you pick up guitar right away?
Yep.
So you started on guitar. Do you play any other instruments?
I do play a little piano, because chords I can't play on guitar because they're too difficult. I know the chords on the keyboard, so I do write on the keyboard as well.
I did the same thing. I learned to play guitar, and then I bought myself a keyboard. The problem is my hands, I didn't learn from being a kid. So, my hands just absolutely cannot do two different things.
Well,
yeah. So I'm great on the slow journey and REO songs, but other than that, I'm not really, other than that, I can't play anything fast.
No, the instruments are for me just a writing tool. I can clunk all my chords out, and that's all I need, because then I bring it to an arranger and producer and play it for them, and then they put the magic in the songs.
That's what I was going to ask you. So you use the guitar and the piano as a writing tool.
Just a writing tool, yes. Gotcha. Not performance at all, no.
And so what do you bring to the producer? You bring sort of like a raw song, just like a demo, I would call it, or something?
What I do is I bring my guitar, or if the keyboard's there, it depends on which instrument I wrote it on, and I have it written out. I have the chords over the words where they belong. I have my melody. Everything's done. And then I just play it for them.
Okay.
Like I use Ray Nesbitt when I do guitar songs. Mm-hmm. And I use Stu Shelton when I do piano songs, mostly. Or if it's more of a jazzy type thing, I go with Stu.
Ray
Nesbitt's a fabulous guitar player. He has a home studio. And he does, and Nothing Left, the one song you liked, Ray arranged that one. And then we had Dave Johnson on bass and Daryl Nutt on drums.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. But I do write the songs, and people sometimes question that because I don't perform out with the instrument.
Right.
But I do. I write them. Yeah.
Well, and so the stuff that I heard on the YouTube channel, which by the way you got to get out and listen to on Lisa Ann George's YouTube channel. We'll talk about that a little bit more. That is live recorded in a studio.
Yes,
So it's not like
recorded in a studio.
synced keyboard drums or anything. It's actual
No, it's recorded
real
in the
tracks.
studio.
Wow, that's awesome.
Really,
yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
I mean, I used to use a keyboard synth to do drums and bass and strings only because I had a studio in my home and I didn't want drums in there. So
let me reiterate. When I use Ray, when Ray does it,
Okay.
it's drums and bass. When I would work with Stu, it's plugged in.
Plug-in stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I mean, I was just more curious than anything because the sound quality of today's technology, especially like drum machines and stuff, is phenomenal.
yeah.
So you can get hits that sound like you're hitting harder or softer and all that. So you can make it sound pretty close to. Pretty close to live.
Oh, yeah.
There's a drum machine that I use called a Beat Buddy that actually has a mode in there they call drunk mode, and literally you can set it on that, and it sort of throws it off here and there, like just
That's hilarious, just like a real
just like a real drummer, right?
Yeah. That's freaking hilarious.
So who are your influences in your writing? Any particular
that's
artists?
Tough. Not really. It's funny because I don't listen to music at all. So. And I'm like one of those people, with a married couple and the wife is going, will you please paint though? He's a painter and he won't even paint his own house. Okay? So I'm like, when I listen to music, it's to learn a song I have to learn.
Yeah.
So typically I don't play music all the time. I'm not always listening and all this and that. I just kind of, who I loved as vocalists and who I loved as artists, I do have several of those, but they go back to I like Ella Fitzgerald, I like Sarah Vaughan.
Oh wow!
I liked Anita Baker. I liked
the classics.
Sade.
Yeah.
I as far as rock people, I mean, Led Zeppelin. Mm-hmm. I love Led Zeppelin. I like Rush. I think Rush was ahead of their time. I like Dirty Loops for bands. But I don't really say I want to sing like them.
Yeah.
I have nobody that I copy as far as my vocal, really. Well, I don't.
It's nice to have your own style. I mean,
I hope
that's the main thing. And so, all right. So what inspires you to write a song though? Like, I used to come home from something and I had a bad experience or a good experience or a good date or a bad date, and I used to be like, I'm going to write about that. I don't know. That's what kind of influenced me. What influences you to write like something?
Sometimes that would
relationship kind of
stuff would. Sometimes, a lot of times, I can just put myself in a scenario, and I can just create a song from that. I've done several that way.
Okay.
It's just. The ideas just come in depending on the mood of the music, because generally I write the music first. Mm-hmm. And so the chord structures sort of give me a sense of what the feel of the song is about.
Oh, okay. And that was going to be my next question. So you kind of do like you do a chorus or something of chords, and then you're like, oh, that's it.
This
and then
sounds like a romantic song. This sounds like an
Okay.
aggravated song. This sounds like...
Yeah.
And then from there, I just kind of just write it.
That's interesting. I always wrote the lyrics first. Like I would jot down a few words or or a real catchy, well, I thought it was catchy chorus or something, right? And then I'd be like, and then I would start writing music around it. So it's interesting how different people, different people do it different ways. Like so how long have you been in Florida?
Since 2006.
Okay, so you've been here for a while.
Yeah.
So have you played, I know you do play out occasionally, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
you do some occasion. Have you played elsewhere outside of the Naples area?
Oh gosh, you mean my history of music?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I went on tour of Japan.
Oh wow!
I went for 5 weeks.
I didn't see that in your.
I don't really.
Interesting.
I was in Japan. I opened. I worked huge venues like Barbara B. Mann venues. The smallest audience was 3,500 people, and then up from there. And that I did for 5 weeks, and then I worked in New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
So I was in New Orleans for a couple times. I was on stage with a lot of people like Ronnie Dove, who did Mountain of Love. I sang with him on stage.
Okay.
And the Marcellus. One of the Marcellus brothers. Wynton Marcellus.
Oh, Marcellus, yeah. I'm
his
sorry,
brother.
yeah.
That's
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I met Harry Connick Jr.'s father.
He's one of my heroes, Harry.
Yeah, and I met. I worked with somebody, Spyro Gyra, the guitar player. I worked with him.
Wow.
I opened with him. I opened for the Platters. I opened for I don't know.
So you've been around some, you've been around some pros then, clearly.
Oh my gosh,
clearly.
I had
did not know that. I did not.
Well,
Just fascinating. I love that. I'll tell you, the more musicians I meet that we interview on the podcast and stuff, the stories behind the people are just fascinating to me. Like where everybody came from, how they got here, what they went through to get here, and so what ended up. How did you end up settling? And I haven't even had a drink yet on this Friday.
Maybe we should do it.
Yeah, maybe I should, right? What? How did you settle in Naples area? You live?
Yeah, my sister actually was here, and she said, "Oh, you got to come to Naples. Yeah, you're gonna love Naples." And then I did, blah blah blah, and then I did, and she moved back to Rochester, so I stayed. I couldn't believe it, so I was all by myself here. And I went around to all the open mics. I sat in with everybody saying, I'm a singer from New York. I made it sound, but it's Rochester. But I made it sound real good. Like, I'm New York. Oh my God,
I spent so much time up there.
And I ended up with Marty Stokes for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. See, and that's the kind of stuff like I moved to St. Pete first because I was still working at the time and I actually had customers in Clearwater. So I moved to St. Pete and then I started looking for condos about a year later, and at the time, which was just before COVID, Cape Coral was still way less expensive than St. Pete was, but
really?
now it's kind of evened out. So
wow, I didn't know that. No kidding.
But I love Naples too. I love coming down to Naples to do some shopping or whatever. It's beautiful. Seed to Table is one of my favorite places. Love going to Seed to Table for food. But wow, so you have a very diverse background in terms of, especially traveling and playing with other performers and musicians.
Yeah, I traveled quite a bit with a show band. It was an 8-piece group, and we traveled a lot of different places. Yeah, it was cool.
Anybody in your family musical?
Yeah, well, on my dad's side, my cousins owned music stores. They were drummers and guitar players.
Interesting.
And my cousins sang a lot and this and that, and they all were kind of involved. Not to the level that I think as long as I've been. I mean, they sort of are business people.
Yeah,
they went to that side of it, where I always was more of an artist. And broke artist. That's what happens.
A broke, yeah. Somebody, I left my. This is a great story. I left my wallet at the Guitar Center the other day.
Oh gosh.
I drove all the way home and went like this and realized it was missing. So I called them and I brought it back. I drove all the way back, and sure enough, somebody turned it in. Thank God.
Oh yeah.
And the one guy said, and I got to use a funny line that it was just impromptu, but the guy said, he said, there's no money left in it. I said, hey, I'm in a music store. I don't have any money. Which is true. A lot of us musicians,
that's the way.
That's the way it is. So
painters, any kind of artist. You're like, you're trying to just sell your music. I mean, all the originals I've done, I made no money on. It's just. All I did is spend.
Yeah, spend money. But you know what? I also read something once that said, it's not, being a musician is not what you do, it's who you are. And that's what makes us happy doing whatever we're doing. Yes, it would be nice to make a little more money or whatever on it, but we're happy just playing. And
we're happy just doing that.
So you write a bunch of songs, and I listened to several of them. So Lisa has a YouTube channel, Lisa and George, obviously on YouTube. But you're going to play a new one for us today?
Yeah, I'm playing the most recent one. I just did a music video. Oh, by the way, if you want video work, Victor Muriel. He does all my music videos. He's fantastic. And as you can see, because mine are like little movies.
Yeah, they are.
Really, really
they are
good.
like little movies.
He's just been a friend of mine for a long, long, long time. And
cool.
And I just like to plug him too. And also, Ray Nesbitt has a studio, and Stu Shelton. And both of them, if you ever want studio work, really, really good at that.
So there you go. Yeah.
Yes, my boyfriend and I are building a home studio. He's building a home studio. And he's a writer. He's a musician, engineer.
Yep.
So we're going to be doing some really cool stuff together.
Home studio. That's going to be fun.
So that'll be fun.
What's the song you're going to play for us?
The song, and by the way, this is unprecedented because I never play my guitar anywhere, rarely. So I'm a nervous wreck, just so y'all know. So if I hit the wrong chord, don't get mad.
She's also very uncomfortable in front of the camera, obviously.
I don't have to put the guitar.
You're like a natural at this.
Yeah, the guitar thing.
Yeah.
And this guitar here pickup is no longer working. And
So what's this called?
It's called Here With You.
Here With You. Okay. So,
Okay.
So this is called Here With You, and this is Lisa Ann George.
Thank you. I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
Oh,
I don't want to be a weekend lover. I want so much more than that. I've never felt this way. Here with you is where I want to stay. I don't want you all stressed out. Just be comfortable with no doubt. We've always been more than friends, and this feeling I have for you, it won't end. I like to look into your eyes. I like to look into your soul. I want to show you how I feel, in case you didn't know. There's a full moon out tonight. Let's take our vows under its light. Together we'll become so much more, and we'll be stronger than we were before. I like to look into your eyes. I like to look into your soul. I want to show you how I feel, in case you didn't know. In case you didn't know, you make my life complete. There's nothing better than you and me. With you is where I want to be. Here with you. Here with you. Here with you. Here with you. Oh, here with you. In case you didn't know, I love you so. I want to stay here with you. Here with you.
awesome. Awesome. That was great. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
I'll be very interested in hearing the production version. You know?
Oh, the
I love to
video and
listen.
that.
Yeah, I love to listen to. I love to hear the song in its raw form, if you will.
This is raw.
Yeah. Well, you know, and just. But you know what's cool is, to me, a song that stands alone, whether you do it acoustically like that or whether you have a production of it, right? I got the message of that without any kind of production behind it. So, and that's the important thing I think about a song is you can sit there with a guitar and just play it and people get it. Then, you know, the production thing's great, but hey, as long as they get it, they get it. And that's very important.
Thank
so,
you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you can catch Lisa on Facebook at Lisa Ann George. And you play some gigs out, but not a
not so
ton,
much.
but will you
Yeah.
post them on your Facebook page?
We do, and we're gonna be down on 30th Avenue, like for the Christmas thing down there on the street there, you know, street.
So you
people.
mean Naples, right?
Yeah, Naples.
Naples, okay.
But yeah, we do a lot of private stuff, so even if people can't go public anyway,
Right,
you know, the
right,
private
right,
venues
right.
like the country clubs and
Right,
stuff, so.
right.
Yeah.
And of course, there's Lisa Ann George's YouTube channel. And speaking of YouTube, the Endless Summer Podcast YouTube channel and the Endless Summer Podcast Facebook channel is where you'll find this podcast, of course, and the others. So we'll see you in a couple weeks with another awesome guest from the Skyline Studios here in Cape Coral. Yes.
I'd like to thank you for doing this.
Oh! I was just gonna thank you. Actually,
I want to thank you. I think this is great, and I love people that support the artists here locally,
thank you.
and really I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I think it helps us.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate that. I just like to say
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, from the Skyline Studios, big shout out to Lisa and George. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy your endless summer here in Southwest Florida. I'm Ken Ullman, and this is the Endless Summer Podcast.